So guys, we have exciting information from Mr. Gurmy regarding all things M3. Yes, for once the man is not being vague and actually gives us specific tidbits regarding the base M3, the M3 Pro, the M3 Max, and the M3 Ultra. So thank you Gurman for giving us actual exciting news for once. And so let's dive right in. And by the way, would like to remind you guys, like this video and subscribe for more content like this. It would be appreciated. Now let's begin with the base M3, which is the one I'm most interested in because I'm a cheapskate who doesn't want to spend money on the Pro machines. This will also be the first chip to launch since Gurman and supply chain sources have suggested an October release, which is in a few months surprisingly. Yes, 2023 is nearly over guys, it's crazy what's going on. Anyways, back to M3, this on the face of it is actually pretty similar to M2 because there's 8 CPU cores, which is a split of 4 performance and 4 efficiency cores, and that's the same as the M1 and also the M2 in case you're wondering, and also there's no change in GPU cores. It's still 10. At this point, you might be wondering this is just that typical marginal upgrade every tech YouTuber on the planet hypes up for the views. But no guys, it's not just another small upgrade that's going to offer 0.01% faster performance. There is a key reason why we're excited, and that's because this will be Apple's first 3nm chips, and in the world of chips boys, smaller is actually better. And so we're not only getting the usual performance upgrades we can come to expect, but also more excitingly for me, a major battery upgrade. Now this is the only thing I actually care about because as someone who's now had an M1 Air for 3 years, the battery life definitely is a little iffy right now, so of course, if M3 does have big battery upgrades, I'm definitely going to be throwing money at Timothy to get one of these new MacBooks. And based on what TSMC's told us, who produces these chips by the way, we could see 30 to 40% better efficiency, which is nothing to scoff at guys. That is a pretty massive leap and could bring the MacBook Airs closer to 24 hours of endurance on a single charge. Yes, 1 day's worth of endurance on a laptop. That would be ludicrous, and it could be happening with M3. What's funny is Apple's already flexing on the competition with 18 hours of endurance, and so they're just further extending their lead at this point, and it's getting hella embarrassing for all the crappy Windows laptops on the market that last 10 minutes on a single charge. The performance on the other hand should only be a 10 to 15% improvement based on what we've heard about with A17, but honestly guys, I'll take it, and who actually needs a radical performance upgrade when M1 and M2 are already powerful enough? I'm still editing 4K videos comfortably on M1, and so for the vast majority of consumers who use the base Max to open one single Safari tab per day, the performance upgrades being so minor is a non-issue. Apple is 100% focusing on the right department, which is battery life. I know the spec nerds want higher Geekbench scores, but regular consumers don't even know what Geekbench is. They would much rather have longer lasting machines, and so yes, battery life should be the focus for the base Max. Now by the way, I do want to mention that the only M3 Max we're getting this year are some of the base models. So Gurman specifically says the 13-inch MacBook Air, the 13-inch MacBook Pro, which honestly, I'm still confused why Apple's releasing. That's a completely useless machine in the range. But anyways, thankfully the 24-inch iMac should also get an update, which is good to see because that poor thing has been neglected and is the only machine stuck with M1 right now. Now the other base M3 products that we're not getting this year are the iPad Pro because clearly people complaining about the M2 iPads being too slow to run the most basic apps on iPadOS. But anyways, also we should see the Mac Mini and also the 15-inch MacBook Air, which has left me a little confused, I can't lie, because it's weird. The 15-inch is not being updated at the same time as the 13-inch, because if we do still have M2 and the 15-inch in October, how does it make sense that the cheaper MacBook Air has the better performance and the battery life? That would be a complete mess. And honestly, it makes me wonder, guys, why did Apple rush the 15-inch out with M2? This whole release schedule makes no sense whatsoever. Moving on to RAM, there was an interesting tidbit Gurman mentioned. He said there were 36GB and 48GB variants of the higher end MacBook Pros in the works, and that does suggest we could see a 12GB base for the M3, which gets me tingling, guys. Right now we start with a pretty limiting 8GB, and then it doubles to 16, then 32, then 64, and so on. So of course, a 36GB variant does suggest we could see a 12GB base, which if true could single-handedly be the best thing about these new base Macs, because as everyone knows, Apple charges ridiculous amounts of cash for RAM upgrades, and 8GB is just way too little. I know they're fine for most right now, but of course, long term it could get a little iffy, so I'm praying that of course, we do see 12GB be the new base for the M3 Max. That would make them incredible value. Anyways, for those who don't want to be seen with the cheapskate base models, let's now move on to the Pro chips for the Pro consumers. And while these do get slightly more exciting upgrades on paper, so beginning with the base M3 Pro configuration, this will have 12 CPU cores, that's going to be split into 6 performance and 6 efficiency cores, as well as 18 GPU cores. The top configuration, on the other hand, that's getting 14 CPU cores, that's going to be split into 8 performance and 6 efficiency cores, as well as 20 GPU cores. So basically, on average guys, you're getting 2 more additional CPU and GPU cores. Nice! Now for the power users out there hoping there would be new performance cores in the CPU that would boost the power to new levels, that's not really going to be the case. The new additional CPU cores are actually efficiency cores, and so much like with the base chips, Apple is very much focusing on efficiency, which once again, is the right move, I can't lie. Apart from the Mac Mini, this chip's going to be mostly used in MacBooks and, well, the portable machines, where the endurance is a pretty important factor for consumers. And so yes, I don't think anyone's complaining about the performance being bad on M1 Pro and M2 Pro, so give us minimal upgrades in that department, just keep improving the endurance. I want my MacBooks to last. And actually, if you're desperate to get some sort of power upgrades, there will be 2 additional GPU cores. So if you're that one guy on the planet still gaming on a Mac for some reason, you can now do that slightly better. Yay! Now moving on to the Max variants, the base configuration is going to have 16 CPU cores with a split of 12 performance and 4 efficiency cores, as well as 32 GPU cores. Now if that's not enough cores for you to open mail and watch the occasional YouTube video, well, you're in luck, because the top end configuration is going to have 16 CPU cores and 40 GPU cores. Now it's interesting because while there is a gain of 2 additional GPU cores, there's actually 4 new performance cores and no additional efficiency cores like the Pro variant. And that's a little surprising, I can't lie, because with the M1 and M2 versions of these chips, both the Max and the Pro have the same exact CPUs, and it would only be the GPUs that are different. But everyone knows that my boy Timothy loves a good upsell, and so for the Apple sheep who want the ultimate CPU performance in a MacBook, you're gonna have to sell your kidney and get yourself the very expensive M3 Max. Also remember, like last year, the Mac Studio should also have this, so I guess I understand why Apple's leaning in on performance instead of battery life for the M3 Max. But of course, this is not the best of the best. If you guys have an unlimited amount of money to spend on the greatest performance Apple can squeeze out from their tiny chips, that's going to be M3 Ultra. Yeah, these names are still pretty corny, but anyways, the base configuration is going to have 32 CPU cores with a split of 24 performance and 8 efficiency cores, and along with this we have a whopping 80 GPU cores. So that's 4 more GPU cores and 8 more performance cores over the M2 Ultra. And well, guess what guys? More cores equals more crazy performance, so yes, I'm sure the spec nerds are salivating just hearing about these specs, and the Geekbench numbers for this chip should be ridiculous. And also remember, this will be in the Mac Studio and the Mac Pro if that still stays in the range. It's kind of a pointless machine that Apple should kill off. But anyways, these are both desktop machines, so of course, Apple does not have to worry about battery life. They can just go 200% on the performance. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.